Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. And today we will review Time After Time Season 1, the pilot episode, and episode 2, I Will Catch You. So guys, you saw my trailer review on this new series. You pretty much got the plot and what the show is all about. Wells, regard as the father of science fiction. Pretty much a lot of science fiction shows we see today as we know them, as they're produced, he kind of created the structure for how our science fiction shows are produced. So if you're a sci-fi geek, basically you probably know who H.G. Wells is, and you probably have seen read some of his books and novels and things like that. This particular story that they've created about him is actually based on a 1979 movie called Time After Time, starring Malcolm McDowell, and it's basically about H.G. Wells creating a time machine, having Jack the Ripper as his colleague, and basically finding out that Jack the Ripper is, killing all these people. He runs, he uses his time machine, escapes, and H.G. Wells is basically chasing him across time, trying to bring him back so he can answer for the crimes he's done back in Victorian England. So I like the plot of this show. A lot of people thought it was kind of weird. Also, this, I guess you can kind of say it's sort of like a prequel, because this takes place before H.G. Wells writes the novel The Time Machine. And some years ago, back in the early 2000s, we had a blockbuster called The Time Machine, starring Guy Pearce. He plays H.G. Wells, and he basically is going through, moving through time and things like that. And with this show, these time travel shows, as I had been saying earlier, I've had some difficulty with certain networks that's done them, like ABC and NBC. This I thought was fair. I thought this was a fair production, of time travel in general. When they do the time travel scenes, we didn't get all these over-the-top special effects. That didn't bother me, because I can accept that in time travel shows, you don't always have to have all that over the top stuff. Fading in and out of existence can work just as good. For problem with that. In this show, they didn't do a lot of that, and I was fine with that. Where I did have a problem with this show in doing the time travel thing was that they never really explained a lot of the rules and important details to time travel. I don't mind just fading in. If you're gonna low budget the special effects and time travel shows, have a well organized idea about how it works and what you can and what you cannot do. With it, we basically got H.G. Wells, and he really doesn't know what it won't do it, but he's built this. They don't know what the consequences of it will be if he uses a certain way, and So I didn't like that part. I thought they should have gave us a lot of techno babble, dealing with the time machine, and then just dialed it back on the special effects like they did. I would have been fine with that. Also, the actor that plays H.G. Wells, I believe his name is Freddie Stroma. I discussed some details about him in the trailer review, but I didn't so much have an issue with him playing H.G. Wells. I could accept that H.G. Wells, coming from Victorian England, would, very much be awkward. Uh, the type of work he did, I could see pretty introverted and withdrawn and things like that, and very, nerdy and geeky and things like that. Being the father of science fiction, that didn't bother me. And then him trying to fit in, but so that didn't so much bother me. But although I love this storyline and the premise of the show, these actors, at some points I just felt they were miscast. I don't know if they belong in these roles, but as I was saying with with Freddie Stroma playing H.G. Wells, I can kind of accept that he's this kind of Victorian, English Victorian age gentleman, and everything will look kind of awkward and weird to us from our present, point in history to his, or being in modern times. But his lead who played Jane Walker, she just, it just didn't work for me. Like their chemistry, the scenes, and how she took all the information in. It just, at some points kind of seemed ridiculous to me. I kind of expected him to come off a bit ridiculous, but when her reaction with him, to me, I didn't like that. I just don't know about that. About the acting, and I don't know if I blame the actors for that. I think I pretty much, look at the director and go, hey, you can direct these, because I believe they can deliver a certain feel to this show where it doesn't just seem kind of, off, at certain point. But yeah, but Jack the Ripper, the gentleman who played him from the Revenge series, I believe his name is like Josh Bowman or something like that. I thought he did a good job as Jack the Ripper. There were, I thought they had the opportunity to make him a lot more complex, in a conflicted position with him being Jack the Ripper, why he did some of the things he did, and try to make it a more complex, because it would have been a great opportunity, because another thing, we don't know anything about Jack the Ripper, other than he killed these people. So they're kind of doing this fill in the blank. It's a lot of opportunity to do this fill in the blank thing with Jack the Ripper, which I felt they could have done, and they didn't do it. So but him being a dark character, him being a more believable character in a sense, and him, how he fit in to 2017, how he felt more normal in this period of time with the violence and being able to buy a gun, and where the world has gone. As opposed to how things were back in Victorian England. He was considered just a straight up freak. They had never seen murders like that, serial killers like that, as opposed to now where, we get a few every decade, have decent ones. So he felt, very much at home. And his character, to me, his acting of, all the main characters was the, obviously the most believable, and I could hold to it a little bit more. But then I didn't like that he was just so just straight up evil. That it was no complex nature to him, other than I'm just a straight up evil dude. And we got H.G. Wells, who's the Victorian Englishman, and that he's a very fantastical character, And I got a chance to look at some of the H.G. Wells biographies, and H.G. Wells, the man, was a lot more complicated than this. He was he had a string of affairs, with women. He was a divorcee, and then he had a lot of, as they kind of do show on this show, but I know it's an ABC network, so they toned it down a lot. But, dealing with a character like Jack the Ripper all mixed up into this, I just thought they could have, done some different things. We also get the character of Vanessa Anders, and she pops up on the scene, and she's explaining that she's his great granddaughter, and she has these massive resources. She owns a biotech company. So she's proven to be very helpful in this show to H.G. Wells and being related to him. And the thing about it though is, even though she's is at first glance, I'm thinking that ultimately in her mind, her goal is to be as helpful as possible. But the route she wants to take to achieve that, to me, seems going to be in conflict with what G. Wells wants to do. As we've seen in throughout the episode, some of the things that she was doing, information she wasn't telling him. So I kind of think she's going to do one of these things where she's withholding information, where she may know more than what she's allowing him to know, and that might be due, in her mind, to his benefit. So I don't think she's a bad character or anything like that, but I do think she knows some things maybe that he doesn't know, that we'll probably find out later about, as the series, goes on and continues, and things like that. She also had a spouse, I believe, or a boyfriend, and his name in the show is Griffin Monroe, and he just has these suspicious looks all throughout the show. And what I'm guessing about this particular character, Griffin Monroe, is that two things came to mind. One was that maybe it was kind of like a normal reaction, if you got a wife and she's inviting people, famous people to your house, because he's the idea is he's supposed to be H.G. Wells great grandson or some relative of H.G. Wells, some descendant. And so he would, he's being suspicious because, like, why wouldn't you tell me about that if I'm your husband or your boyfriend or something like that? And then you got him living in the house, but you wouldn't, you didn't think that was important to let me know. So I think it would be some natural suspicion around that, like, who is this guy and why didn't you tell me? Maybe I just came home and caught you with a lover in the house. I don't know. But so his suspicion at first, to me, it was like, okay, well, he's just trying to, he's just somebody moving in and out trying to figure out who the guy was. But then, we kind of get these focused scenes on him where now I'm starting to think that Griffin Monroe perhaps knows, more about H.G. Wells than, the show's let on, thus far. So the show just goes on, basically with H.G. Wells trying to catch Jack the Ripper, and Jack the Ripper is just, he's doing what he would be doing back in Victorian England, and that's murdering people, and, he wants the key, because as we understood in the show, the key is what keeps the time machine from going back to its original starting point in time. So without that key, it's going to always go back, and Jack the Ripper's not going to be able to keep, either get the key to keep him from being taken back to the time, or use it for whatever he wants to use it for. But anyway, it's just this all through the episode. It's just this race to get the key, and of course Jack the Ripper's using leverage by killing people to try to get this key that controls the time machine. So, guys, it held my attention. The show held my attention. We, start to get this mysterious guy who's he's following H.G. Wells. He doesn't let on he's following H.G. Wells. But, we know that's what's going on. And then we get him in this room where he's going through all these details about H.G. Wells. And I'm going to have some theories about what that might be about, how they introduced him to the show and things like that. And we also had H.G. Wells writing himself this letter, supposedly from Vanessa Anders' conversation with him. And that letter had to do with, it was a letter for him to believe what Vanessa Anders was doing, but there's also this coded symbol of some sort. And it basically, it means something that he doesn't even know what it means. So why he would write something to himself to his past self from the future, and not understand it. It's covered, but I'm gonna do a couple of theories on that, and just get my overall view of the show. So the thing is too, I think that it's looking like to me that, and this does make a lot of sense to me, that time travel, it would be more people having access to time travel, the H.G. Wells, because the technology would be out there now, so he dies, he passes away, it's very likely somebody else or some other group or something that has time travel, and they're time traveling around just as H.G. Wells is. Um, Another thing I was thinking was that with this show, it's based on this movie, but Time After Time, 1979. But I was thinking like that was just one movie. Like, how are they gonna make this basically a weekly TV show? It's like that's gonna be kind of crazy to do. I was trying to figure out how they were going to do that, but now I kind of see how they're going to do it. And I've also heard some online information about H.G. Wells, basically some of the other novels he's written in the books, that they're going to kind of touch on that with some of the other episodes, because remember, again, this is kind of like a prequel to the Time Machine. In this version, he hasn't wrote it yet, and there's actually this scene where he's looking at books he's written, he's thinking about reading them, but if he reads them, he can mess up the timeline, right? So he doesn't read them, but some of the information I'm getting online is that he is going to be, the show is going to go in the direction of some of those other shows, things. So instead of it just being based on this movie about him chasing Jack the Ripper through time, it's going to be other things going on. And I think Jack's going to be kind of a character that he's trying to catch, or he may catch him at some point, get him back to Victorian England. But then there's going to be another storyline going on. And some of my theories and speculations is that guy that's walking around, he's part of some type of time travel division that's monitoring time travel, or he may be a descendant of someone who's trying to either stop H.G. Wells or work alongside with him. I think Griffin, Monroe, he's going to be actually have information on that as well, about this time travel thing, and I think he may even be involved with it to some degree. And yeah, I mean that's pretty much what I thought. My overall view of the show is that it's a fair show. It's an entertaining show. I wish they'd work on the acting a little bit. I feel these characters are miscast. I think Freddie Stroma, with a little bit of tweaking, he could do a better job as H.G. Wells, because I was looking for him to be awkward anyway. A Victorian Englishman, and I look for him to be kind of bumbling around, but I didn't like the museum curator, Jane Walker. I didn't like her, how they bounce off each other. It's just kind of weird to me. I don't know if I like that storyline. Basically, I don't know. That was pretty much my guys. Like I said before, these time travel shows, anytime NBC and NBC do them, like the other one, Timeless. I don't know. I just don't. I don't like how they do these shows, and the kind of shows they are good at. That might help this show out. They're kind of good at doing these shows where every week you got to catch the bad guy, like these cop type shows and these catch me if you can type shows, and we got a lot of that going on with this show, and so I think they're gonna do well. But in science fiction shows, to me, they just really don't do a good job. But it's holding my attention so far. I don't think it's a great show. I will be interested in seeing him get more information about who he, about what that symbol is he's written about. Like I said, I already kind of feel like it's going to be something to do with another division of time travelers and things like that. But anyway, guys, be sure to post your comments. Let me know how you like the show, and how do you think the upcoming episodes are going to be. if you're going to be on board and to watch more. And if you like content like this, don't forget to like and subscribe. And until next time, guys, take care.